Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine. Your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further?
It's a fabulous Friday. We are in studio and having a great time. Outside, it's a little bit on the damper side. I see the sun is peeking its head out, but it's a good morning. It's a fabulous Friday morning.
Fabulous Friday. Yeah. It is indeed a great morning. We have so many things to talk about. Just see, it's just smiling.
Surprise us, Mikey G. You don't have a lot to talk about.
I don't have a lot to talk about.
Today I'm without words. Today I don't know what I'm going to speak about today. And then we'll be surprised.
No worries. We always have something to talk about. And today is no different than any other week. We come here each week. It's Family Friday. And today we want to talk a little bit about the family. You know, we are so keen on the family because we want to see the enemy's cunning devices as the family struggles through the 21st century, 2025, and we are here now. And we are still having some situations that we should not possibly be having, but here they are. And we are now questioning, we are looking at normal things happening and normalizing things that should never be normalized. And here we are, feeling that we have arrived and finding ourselves. It's like, have you ever felt that you have gone somewhere for an amusement park and you turn up at the city dump, you feel bad, like you were supposed to be somewhere else, but when you turn up, you're looking, oh, we are at... I remember a time when there was a government minister who came in and they were offering packages for the then teachers of the community. And so they said that we are building a community just for teachers. And the community that is built, it is at a place called Callaloo Mews or Callaloo Meadows. And you know, it was such a very good package because the money that was being paid for these properties were at an alarming rate of very low money. You know, it sounds good. And when we went and investigated the thing, it was right beside Riverton City, the city dump. You know, so it's a very bad thing to see. I'm offended even by it today. I think about it all the time. And so we have looked at our society, gone down the track, and from the original lie that was told in our life.
Mikey G, I will say to you that two things.
Yes.
If it's good to be true, it usually is. And the realtors will tell you location. So based on the location, it will also speak to the value of the property. So
well, what spoke to me was that not so much Lady Coralie Karen, as you are rightfully saying, that it is important for real estate, as you mentioned, location, but the value was not of the property, but the value that was placed on the individuals who were being saved.
Too good to be true. Yeah.
That's my thought here. Up until today, it burns me to the core. I'm still having that conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, we have a lot to talk about this morning, and I am sure that, before we go into that, I must comment on Lady Elise's color, that how she's brightened up the frame this morning. So, thank you, Lady Elise, for brightening us up this morning.
That's because I didn't get the blue memo.
Well, I'm thinking this morning that
it was not shared with me.
Let me say this. Because for me, I'm gonna be saying, being the male here and the man, not just male but man, because male means man in that sense, the fullest sense, and female means woman, and it means that it don't mean anything else, and anything outside of that is an abomination and anything else. You know, because we're gonna look at that word abomination one day. We're gonna look at
Mikey, you know how many conversations you started in that one
But
sentence?
I'm saying, I wanted to say this morning that as I traverse this beautiful land of ours, God has provided for us. He made flowers, and I love, of all the particular flowers, roses. And so when I was a young boy, I used to just my father taught me how to circumpose and do these little things with plants, because I come from a farming background, right? And so I would circumpose these everywhere I go. I see people's roses. I say, could I get one of your plants? And he said, yes. How would you take it? And I'm not going to cut it down. I'm gonna circumpose it, and then when it forms the roots, I'm gonna take it. And so I go and I do my little magic, and then when it forms, and then I take them and plant them at my house. I have many roses in my garden, and so I would have many flowers to give to the nice young ladies who I'd meet every now and then.
And that story was to share with us why Lady Elise is in pink.
And why you are in blue. Having said that, when we come back, of course, we want to share with our listeners this morning our devotional by the Lady Susan Long. And of course, this morning's experience is brought to you by M&M Construction for all your construction needs, right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Good morning. This is day 4. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 20. Wisdom in God's Word, written by Vernon Grounds. We treasure Scripture. It's God's inspired word, and it teaches us the way to abundant life in this world and eternal life in the world to come. Indeed, it is a source of a wisdom that goes beyond that of the wisest philosophers. But this fact is rarely acknowledged in our culture. So I was glad to read an article by the New York Times columnist Dave Brooks extolling biblical wisdom. He praised Martin Luther King Jr. for insight into human nature derived from Scripture. He felt that King had a more accurate view of political realities than his more secular liberal allies, because he could draw on biblical wisdom about human nature. Religion didn't just make civil rights leaders stronger, it made them smarter. And Brooks said further, biblical wisdom is deeper and more accurate than the wisdom offered by the secular social sciences. Are we drawing on that source of wisdom in our own lives? We need Scripture's wisdom to deal with our personal problems and political issues. If we study and obey the Bible, we will be able to humbly testify with the psalmist, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. The Bible is God's word to us, still fresh through all the ages. And if we read it, we will find God's wisdom on its pages. Our quote this morning reads, one truth from the Bible is worth more than all the wisdom of man. End quote.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine. Your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination synergized to navigate.
Welcome back to Family Friday. It is also a fabulous one where we're here talking about matters that affect the family. And this week we have another interesting focus topic, and we again invite you to participate. You can comment or by all means share your points as we navigate
the very strange waters, and of course, Mikey G, we must today play that song. It's the theme when we're talking about family matters. I think we should play We Believe in the Family, and of course we certainly do believe in the family, despite how the narrative has changed and shifted over the last few years, but there is still a foundation on which you stand.
Well, I guess I could just do it right now and just do one verse of it and then get into the conversation. So let's do it like this.
It's a noble institution, a gift from God to man, a reflection of His fellowship with all of His creation.
An intimate encounter with loved ones and their faults, still a source for comfort, but most of all for love.
It's the origin of innocence, the birthplace of trust, a sanctuary from the cruel and unjust.
An inevitable union of different generations, brought to meet each other through the miracle of life. We believe in the family. We
believe in the family. I believe and just love that song. And the thought is, and I will speak it into being, that we would get all the singers on a program and we'll have a conversation behind the certainly the production of the song. The author was a featured guest here on Flashpoint a few months ago. That's Mr. Miguel Lowe. And he certainly is talented. And of course, one of the voices you would have heard is Audley Scott, who was also a guest right here at Flashpoint.
Of course, it means that we are using our talents to the glory of God. We're ministering. These are ministers, certainly. And so the essence of the song, and I think the melody, I'm not a music person, but it's very soothing. It calls you to pay attention to the words, and so the sentiments certainly will get
Yes.
once you pay attention. So I think it is the catalyst on which we will dive into our topic this morning, and I'll send it over to Mikey G to start.
But this morning, Curly Karen, we believe in the family, in every aspect of it. And this is God's ideal. If we have any idea, what we are looking at on Fridays is God's ideal. When we talk about the family, we are actually talking about God's ideal and the structure that God put in place for everything else we build. It's the foundational truth of God's eternal plan for us as humans. Right? And so we focus on the family because it is such an important aspect. And so we dedicate Fridays to that. Anyway, so without any further ado, we'll just get right into it and not keep our listeners waiting much longer. Alright. I want to show the first.
You choose to worship a creator God who forbade man to actually eat from the tree of knowledge, one which you have obviously eaten from because you are a rather knowledgeable man. Why would you choose to worship this sort of deity who would have kept you dumb?
That's a very good question. I'll tell you why it's a good question. I notice it was asked originally by a snake. That is not implying any offence at all.
None taken.
Because, well, let me try to answer your question. Do I worship a God who wants to keep me down? Tell you the kind of God I worship. I worship the kind of God who made me in his image and coded himself into humanity, came into our world to provide a basis through his death and resurrection that I could become something that I was not by creation, and that is a son of God. The notion that God is trying to keep us down is actually the original lie.
All right, and so we wanted to chime in on that one. We wanted to put that one right where it would matters. That as people of God and Christians, and as you go out and traverse this world and have conversation with persons who have so-called education of worldly qualification and talking to you on biblical principles, we have not fortified ourselves sometimes enough to have this conversation. And I'm encouraging that we do better at doing that. Because here is the conversation, telling this gentleman how much we as Christians have a God who wants to keep us stupid, when we actually were and is the sons of God. We were not separated from him. We were actually his son. You can imagine my son saying, I'm not a part of the family.
Good point. I was very impressed with the exchange, and certainly encourage those sort of dialogues, because the truth is, it is when persons express their own idiosyncrasies that we get an opportunity by the grace of God to clarify it. And so I will say that through the Holy Spirit inspiring this philosopher, it was a very good response. And importantly, to land it back at the origin. It is the lie that Satan spoke, because here it is, one tree versus 99. I mean, I'm not counting how many trees there were in the garden, but one was excluded. But we fail to see that there were so many others at their disposal. But because we want to champion a school of thought, then we're going to enlarge the one element of it that was about obedience. Not even withholding. There was nothing in that intent about withholding. But because the father of lies has an agenda, he is going to certainly put it forward.
Lady Elise, I don't know. I mean, I thought about the whole thing and I said to myself, we have not wrestled against flesh and blood for a long time. But you know what is bothering to me is the fact that the persons who should have the sight to see beyond the veil are also blinded by the whole thing.
Well, you know how I see that though, Mikey G, is that the people who ought to have it are the ones who have it. So whether you're cloaked in the right image, according to the world, is not what qualifies you. Is if God would have called you to represent Him. And a lot of people are not called, but they are present in that space. And so it's for us discerning to see who is on their own volition and who are truly representatives of God. You know, when you look at it, sometimes we're so fooled by the outer appearance. But what certainly even this passage says to us, this exchange is more than what is on the outside. Because he was purported, the gentleman there is purported to be wise. And certainly because he has the wisdom of God, he was able to respond to that question. And I would say that very thought-provoking question, it was intended to trap him.
Not only what you said a while ago, Lady Karen, I think Lady Elise wanted to say something. I'm going to just stop myself and then just hold my thought a little bit if I can.
No, go right ahead.
So you said a while ago that the persons who are called are not necessarily who are operating in those offices say that they are called by God, are not necessarily called by God. And I want to bring to the forefront that Saul was operating as king for more than another decade or two after God did not choose him anymore. You know, so we have to be careful seeing people in the positions of God's authority, thinking that they are God's authority and what they're doing. So what we're doing is tracking the serpent and who is working for him. All right. So we're going to track the serpent and see who works for the serpent and how he has been cunning enough to make us even think that we are working for God and following God by tricking us into believing a lie, right? The original lie. We're looking at it and how it transcends itself. I want to go to the second video of how we have been, and I want to say this before we go, the disclaimer. If you notice at the garden, the enemy did not choose Adam or the man, the male, not the man female, not the man female, the man male. Adam did not, God, the serpent did not attack the man male because he was that force that opposed evil at all times and would be aligned with the strength of God himself. Woman would be that part of man who would be the softer side of man, who would be the caring side of man, and even more curious, as we now notice. And the enemy seems to want to attack our softer side of us, and the one that God places with us as us to protect, and also to be the one who supports the whole aspect of God's design. Right? So we look at how the enemy attacks the woman in the garden, and we don't like to, a person don't like to hear that the woman is the weaker sex of the order of God's creation, because it sounds as if women are feeble. And for some unknown reason, that lie has been told again, and women believe it. And so we're going to go and expose that lie a little more, because I like my women a little softer. I don't like my women too manly. too masculine. I don't like those women. Those women who do that. And so for me, I'm going to say that. And God did not design the woman to be masculine or manly. And so we're going to use this as saying, I like the feminist and the feminist, the feminine side of the woman, or women being feminine. And so I am looking at two feminine. I can't say feminine woman, because the word, to imply the word feminine woman is to imply that there's something about you that makes you something else. So when I say woman, you are feminine. And if you're not feminine, you're masculine. That's all I say. You're a man. So if you're operating in a masculine role, then you're a man. That's what it is. Alright. So I'm saying my feminine lady. Here we go. So let me hear how we
Mikey G, you just said that you can't use the prefix because it neutralizes feminine. So we are females. Full stop.
All right, let's share this video.
Hold on. You realize that you're female. Hold on. You realize that you're female. Full stop. Without me saying you're a feminine woman.
Well, that was the presentation that you just gave a while ago, so I'm accepting it.
My point taken. Everybody, do you see it? I understand it. Thank you very much. Because if you're a woman, you can't be recognized as being feminine anymore. You're just woman, and that makes you. Video, please.
Idea, my friends. Husband goes to work, kisses his wife in the morning, takes his briefcase, walks off, comes back home for dinner. Mother is around the house doing householdish things and the kids, and then that is the traditional nuclear family unit that we should aspire to. The only time in history when that has happened really started in the 1940s. That is a consequence of technological and industrial changes that happened because of technology, especially in the Western world. But you go back before 1940 and that's not how it went down. There was something called the Household Economic Project. Usually there was agrarian societies or these small towns and communities. Certain households had certain specialized kinds of labor, if not farming, where they were maybe the blacksmith, maybe they were the shoemaker, whatever. The husband would not grab a briefcase at 8 a.m. in the morning and walk off and go to the high-rise down the street. They weren't even high-rises. There weren't like offices and cubicles where men spent their 8, 9, 10 plus hours of lonely existence typing away at computers. It didn't exist. The same thing is not healthy for a woman to do. It's absolutely not healthy for a mother of young children to do. That is a very modern construct. That is not traditional, my friends. The husband would work from home. The wife would also work from home. They'd often work together. The kids would often work with them. And the amount of time they spent separate was much less than the amount of time they spent together. All right, so what is the solution, you might be asking?
What is the solution this morning? I'm asking. Are you asking the solution? Did you hear that one? Let me hear what came from it.
A very interesting perspective. I never ever thought of it as the man and woman in the home. You know, I know that we have frequently spoken about traditional roles and women being at home, but the perspective of the man at home working, I just never connected with that until she mentioned it.
Well, it's interesting because the fact that the man was farming meant that he had to be away from the household. So he would go to the farm and return. Similarly, so for me, I'm not seeing that they were both actually in the house itself.
Well, I'm thinking that the farm is outside in the house, and
they're not together. The concept that I'm seeing her bringing forth is the fact that they were literally working beside each other.
No, so I'll be in the kitchen and looking about breakfast, and then lunchtime, hubby would come. Well, maybe he wouldn't come in, but he's out in the sun, and I would go out with a tray of lemonade
all right. Let's fix that. Anybody have a Bible? Quickly. Proverbs. What's it? The Proverbs 31, 34? Is it the Proverbs woman? Do we have it? Really, Karen, could you find it for me?
The virtuous woman.
Yeah, find it for me. Let's look at who that woman is. Hold on, and how she operates.
It's above rubies.
Let's look at how she operates. And look at what the enemy did. We're gonna look at it now in context and in light of what this lady says. Let's not say she's talking truth. Let's say this is something that she has presented. But then look at the structure. This is what she said that was actually true and real. I grew up in a farming community. I grew up where my father was a farmer and my mother was there on the farm. And of course, I grew up when my mother would be working alongside my father to do the very same thing that he's doing and helping. Right? While he takes care of us. We didn't know that she was actually with him, but he's doing most of the things, but she assists in other areas and with him at the same time. So it wasn't a separate thing, and we would get the benefit of mother and father in the home while being at work and at play. And I benefited from that. And you could see the enemy's tool to say we are modernizing, and we are not beating up modernization, but we are looking at how the enemy did not modernize in the best interest of the family unit. All right. Let's read the Proverbs 31 woman and let's hear what she sounds like and who this woman really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's
Who
hear that
can find a
woman.
virtuous woman, for her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ship, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it.
Hold on, what she did? What does she do? She what?
Consider the field and buy
She
it.
purchases land.
Oh wow!
With the fruit of her hand she planted a vineyard.
And
she girded her lions with strength and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the
We can't stop. Have you ever heard of the Proverbs woman being that woman who is not an independent woman, a strong independent woman who is a boss woman in the house?
You're saying that she's not, those are not criteria of being a strong woman? That's what you're saying?
That concept of this strong woman story is feminism at its core that destroys the very aspect of the family. This woman, in Proverbs 31, is a woman who is the helpmate for the man, who is the strength of her is far beyond the strong woman now.
But Mike, you're almost, is a definition of strength, is
Strength
what I'm hearing.
Strength for who? It's not strength for yourself. It's strength of unity and how it transcends. It says to you that the woman who was now told that she can become strong was already there.
So what you're saying is that the woman has always been a strong presence in the home. So
not in the home. Not in the home. We keep saying that. She's a strong presence in the family, not home. When we say home, we consider house. We place her in a house, and then she's a maid.
So let me define it. So I think it's one and the same, because a house is not a home. A house is a structure. A home is where emotions and there's unity and there is purpose among the persons who are there. So family, home, I'm using them synonymously.
Yes.
But for me, the Proverbs woman is not a weakling.
No, she's not. But she's not the head of our house either.
So is it, so your position is that feminism has redefined strength?
Yes.
Okay.
And feminism, let me just put it there as I said it. Feminism for a Christian woman is a devil's tool to get you to sin against God.
Well, I wouldn't even put it at Christian.
I'm saying that definitively without any fear or favor, and I have biblical passages to back it up, and I have information to back it. I don't
exclude it. If it is that we're saying it is negative. It's not negative just for Christians. It's negative for the entire society.
But you cannot. But what you must focus on is the fact that the enemy is controlling the normal society. God's people should be controlled by God's narrative. And if feminism have crept into God's places, then we are tracking the serpent. By your fruits you shall know them. Isn't that the truth?
Agreed.
And if you produce the same fruit as the enemy's trees, are you the enemy's trees in God's places?
Remember, Michael, that the devil is really about. He has wrath against God's people. The ones in the world, he is not concerned with them, and so our conversation has to be in. Except too that we have to be mindful that we have to be going out there and evangelizing.
But you cannot evangelize.
We still need to have an appreciation of what's going on, so that when we approach persons, we can ensure that the conversation is befitting of their needs, so we are able to perceive what. So if you're going to somebody who is not a feminist or who doesn't believe it, then you can't bring the anti-feminist conversation.
We're not talking about anti-feminist or anything now. We are talking about the idea, if you are not pure blood, you can't deliver pure blood material.
And I'm saying, and I'm agreeing with you, Michael. All I'm saying is it cannot be restricted just to the church. It has to be to the entire society, because the church is there to serve the community. So we need to make sure that we fortify ourselves as Christians, as the followers of Christ, but not be naive as to what's going on out there.
But this is where I'm going. Have you been traveling lately?
And then the question is asked by one of our VIPs. So the Proverbs 31 woman was not a strong woman.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that. She was the strongest woman, even stronger than the ones that we have now.
Help me understand.
The Proverbs 31 woman exhibits the strength that God endowed on her, not what feminism did. The Proverbs 31 woman is a woman who considered her family, and considered being strong within the family. She didn't consider herself being outside of the family, and she's now independent of everybody else. In fact, society was never organized in that way. In fact, remember this one thing: you're a daughter of a father, and as soon as you are married, the husband is now the father in your life. Because the father is a protector when you are a child growing up until the husband that you have. This narrative has been tainted and destroyed. And so you don't find women getting married anymore. And so they have to be fending for themselves. So yes, your strength has to come because you now have no protectors. The enemy has left you loose.
You know, Michael, that a woman her strength is not in her being independent. So I'm putting it out there. It is not her strength that is displayed when she purports to be an independent. I will say to you that we have come to live in a society that has, unfortunately, because of the arch enemy, has redefined what family looks like. And so what we're doing, we're almost in survival mode.
You are in survival mode.
So for me, yes. I am very careful. I'm careful how I will label a woman who is independent as being, that she's a feminist, for example. It could be her circumstance.
No, I will not label a woman a feminist.
It could be her circumstance. And so I would want to almost put out a caveat to say there's a distinction. We're talking about women who promotes the individual policy, and it is because they don't need the men. And I will even say to you that it is strength as defined like that is a facade, because that same woman hasn't changed. There is an innate reality about us that we are going to be. We want that knight in shining armor. We want the presence of the men. And so what we have had to do is almost cocoon ourselves in this fortress because of
what society has done.
Ourselves from all that has happened. Mm-hmm. And it's just that there are some extremes. As in everything, there are extremists.
Yes. Here is where I'm going to go. The concept of feminism and being a feminist, one leads to the other. So feminism teaches is like going education. Feminism is like the word education. It teaches. And so to be educated will be the result of education. You get what I'm saying?
Understood.
Good. So feminism feminists teach feminism.
And sorry, just to interrupt you a bit, to the listener who posed the question, what we're saying in terms of strength, that we're agreeing that the woman is a strong woman. The issue is that strength has been redefined
by the enemy. By the enemy.
Okay. Well, let's land it there.
By the enemy. Redefined.
And so we need to bring back the biblical
as God's people.
What strength is.
We have to. The word is redefined. You say redefined. We have to know redefine what it is for us as a people, and be concerned about it, because it is the vehicle that will take us to help others. If you have been traveling lately, right? And if you traveled lately, you would have gone to the airplane, and it says if there's an emergency, the lady on the airplane, what's her name? The flight attendant would say to you, or not just the lady, but there are men also. All right? The flight attendant will say, and then we used to say air hostess, which would mean a woman most of the time.
Yes.
And so they change the word from air hostess to flight attendant, because there are also men who join the rank. So let's clarify the word and just make it all inclusive. You know, like men and women can, yeah. And so what we have done so far is, so when they went and they said, the flight attendant says to you, you know, when there's an emergency, the mask overhead will fall down, drop down, and of course put it on your child who is beside you first, and then
no, put it on yourself first, and then you can assist someone else.
They didn't say put it on the child who's your sibling, your very important child who you don't want anything to happen to.
You have to put it on yourself first so you can help your child.
So the church must put this mask on yourself, on ourselves. We put it on ourselves so we can help ourselves first and then help others. So we are so busy trying to fix everybody, and we are not even seeing that we are being in what you call poison. I ask the question all the time: if you have 2 barrels of water and you have 2 big barrels, right? And you put 1 cup of poison in one, and take a grass straw and just dip it in the poison and dip it in the next one, which one of them is poison?
Both of them poison. But Mikey G, as you're speaking about the poison, we must share the 2 other video clips.
All right, let's go quickly. Yes. So we have one more video to talk about how women have been, in fact, this now is not about women at all. This theory is not about women, so we are not beating up our women. And for the person who asked the question about the strong woman, women were created strong by God. You didn't need to become, because you were that, and you are that because you're a godly woman. And the Proverbs 31, please, I advise you to go back and read Proverbs 31 and re-establish in your mind who God made you to be, and realize that you didn't need any other movement, no satanic group to tell you that you were what you were. Because you were
Michael, we're in the great controversy.
Yeah, we're in the great controversy. That's what I'm saying.
It has to happen because that is one avenue that the devil uses to capture the minds of individuals. So it is what it is. What we have to do is educate ourselves on the Bible, because once you know the truth, then you are able to spot a lie. That is my approach. I'm not telling anybody to go and learn feminism so that you can dispel it. Learn the Bible, learn the truth according to the love of God, so that when the lie comes, you're able to identify it for what it is and reject it.
All right. So let's set this one up. We want to say that when you look at the idea of feminism and its creation, let's look at the demons that are behind this thing. And so we don't want to say that women are bad. This is one thing that Mikey G will never say here. I will never say that God created women evil. You will never hear me say this, because women were created specifically for the glory of God and to be that very important factor of man's life. Remember, the Bible says women were created for men. They weren't created for any other use, to be used by the enemy the way they are being used now. Alright, so let's do this one and let's see how much the enemy has been cunning. Let's have that video, lady.
He was at the house one night, and we were talking, and he started laughing. He said, "Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about?" And I said, I had pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote, you know? And he started to laugh. He said, "You're an idiot." And I said, why am I an idiot? He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded Women's Lib, you know? And we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He said, there were two primary reasons. And they were, one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before Women's Lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. Because it breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the two primary reasons for Women's Lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. You know, when I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, the thought of it, I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble adventure.
This is self-explanatory. I don't think I have to go into too much.
Oh my God. What you just showed me is that the devil is using the men as much as he's using them.
But I'm saying to you that it's not your idea. It's not your idea.
You know, that one got me, the tax, because of course we are the population. There are so many working women. Can you imagine?
But look at the work
impact.
Office now. There are more women.
Let me ask you a question.
If this would change, the economy would suffer, Mikey G, if women started to go back.
Who are they after? Who are they after? Who are they after?
The children.
The children. They're using a woman to get to our children.
The men are using the women to get to our children.
No. Let's go now. If the devil was if you could give the devil a sex, what sex would you say? Female or male?
Male.
So you're telling me that the men are influencing the women to inculcate our children?
No.
The devil is using the men.
No.
Well,
what we must know that the enemy of God have angels, and the enemy of angels.
All right, do you want us to play the final?
So what we want to say to you is that the enemy of angels. So what we need to see is not the men or the women. I want you to dismiss the idea of men and women. You're just pawns. You're like on a table.
You're just pawns, yes.
You're just little pieces to move on the chessboard all over the place, and you're just being pushed all over, and our buttons are being pushed, and we are giving up our children. And God's people.
That's important point, Michael, and I would want us to not hasten beyond it. Is that irrespective of where we find ourselves, which side we are on, we need to recognize that the cosmic conflict is with an enemy who is upset. He is come down with great wrath, and as a matter of fact, it's not even us. He doesn't have any concern about.
I have no interest in you and me.
His intent is to defy God. Is to say to God, your character is not what you purport it to be. And so where we find ourselves as pawns is totally our choice. And I'm being very deliberate. We have the power to choose. And so I will ask us again, unless you are empowered with knowledge, and knowledge comes from God, immerse yourself in knowing the love of God, so that when the hatred and the wickedness that is, and guess what? Understand that the devil is not going to come with this horn and red and tail and this fork, right? The devil comes in forms that is, well, look at what happened in the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't present himself in all his beauty and whatever. He came as something to bedazzle Eve. She's never seen a serpent talking. And so we have to be so wise through the Holy Spirit to be able to discern, because everywhere we go, and as you mentioned it as well, Mikey G, that in the church, the devil comes to church.
But,
and so we need to make
let's go with this.
Armored, that evening church that we have that protection of the Holy Spirit.
Let me go with this one. I want you to find Genesis chapter 3. It does talk about the woman in the garden. Genesis chapter 3:16. Read that text for me quickly, and I'm going to go to this last one for you. Anywhere you see this happening, the devil is in control. Remember this. Never forget, Mikey G said this morning. Anywhere you see this happening, the devil is in control. Genesis 3:16. Read it for me this morning. I'm going to say this
before the video or after.
Right now. So you're going to read it now. I'm going to go to the video right afterwards, immediately. We're not even going to wait. Let's go Genesis 3:16. When we talk about the woman in the Garden of Eden, that woman was protected by Adam. He was supposed to be protected. She was supposed to be protected by Adam. God placed her there as his helpmate, the very thing that he desired, and the very best thing that God could ever place on the earth. In fact, the power that is within a woman is so deadly that it can destroy the narrative of God's total principle within us. That's how powerful God made the woman. The woman was not made weak, but her strength did not lie in her muscles. Her strength lay other places. And God, with the combination, knew that both of them together.
Just define where her strength was. In Proverbs 31, we spoke about where her strength was.
And her strength is there. And so when you see the concept of a strong woman lies, a strong man lies a woman who is dedicated to him and to the service that they are both involved in. Not to somebody else. That's what it is. So the devil attacks this union. So he attacks the woman first and let her question the very thing and then corrupt the garden. After corrupting the garden, this is God putting in place a new plan, a new order, saying, man, never leave your woman alone. Make sure you provide the protection for her and never allow the enemy to creep in anywhere again. Proverbs, this is Genesis 3 and verse 16 this morning.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over you.
Alright, the concept of ruling means simply this, and I will say it without any favor, without getting into a long conversation, and we all know. We as human beings have tainted many words, and this word is a word that is very badly used and badly represented. And we know that words have meaning, and so this word in its entirety, as we understand it, a very, very bad word. Not a very good word. But the concept of this is protection for the woman. God then, and I want a disclaimer, this passage was God, not a major prophet or a minor prophet as we normally say, or one of those holy men of old. This was a passage that considered itself that God himself was speaking this. He was the one representing himself. He didn't ask anybody to represent him. And this is what God said. So when you have a problem with this passage, have a problem with God. Alright, and this sentence means this is God's protection for the woman who was perfect in the garden, and now she's imperfect, and he places the man as head of his house, and again reiterated that you must not let your woman lead you. You must not make your woman be in charge of you. Anywhere you see your women are in charge of you, that's not God's plan.
Mikey G, boy, you know,
no, anywhere. Let me go again. Anywhere you see a woman in charge of you, that's not God's plan. And if it's happening, like Deborah in the time of old of the prophets, it says that Israel was in chaos and the enemy got in the camp and he appointed a woman to be the leader. That's happening. Now, is it chaos in Israel that women are being appointed to lead the men? And that's what I'm saying. Go on.
Well, I will put it down to the fact that we're living in a space where the devil is
active.
Rampant.
Active.
And so I will say to you that the words really do have meaning, and the definition as interpreted by both men and women is something that we need to understand, that there clearly is a difference. And so both men and women need to go back to the source. We need to both read and understand that it is not giving men the authority to be abusers.
Protectors. The word is not abusers, but protectors.
That's what I'm saying. That we need to make sure the definition is clear on both ends. It doesn't mean that the woman is going to be subjected to battering and being bruised by the men. It also doesn't mean that the woman should not allow or submit to being ruled by, and that is the effect of sin. Do we understand that? That this happened as a result of sin.
Here's
and
the
so
logic.
my question to you, Mikey G, is, was it really God's intention for this hierarchy when he created us? And so are we now
modern times? It's modern times now, and we have no, we as a church has claimed modernism. Now, anytime you see a ism, communism, capitalism, feminism, any of these ism, and now we are modernism, and the church has now claimed modernism, and now we are using the same concept as construct as the world would use it. I want to bring to you the concept of God, Jesus' ideologies of who he is towards us. He refers his relationship for us as to a marriage between two human beings. One that says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. But it didn't say that, it didn't start there. It says, wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands. And then, this is a rule that God says. So if you see a wife that is not willing to submit to her husband, the devil is controlling her. That's a rule.
If you're a man who is not
willing
to sacrifice for his
Let me go. And I'm gonna go. And so if you see, the Bible says, husband, love your wife as Christ loves the church and would give his very life for. No, let me ask you.
Man is not willing to give his life for his wife. He is of the devil.
And I'm going to, Karen, I'm going to just shake your hand right now and say, shake my hand, right? And so we're shaking your hand on that. If the man does not love his wife and to be willing to sacrifice his very self for his woman, then he is not of God either. All right. So we are looking at God's ideal. Now, if we have a church who is unwilling to submit to the authorities of God, who says the man is head of his household, by virtue of that, if you read Timothy chapter 3 right now, and says the bishop is a man who is a husband of one wife, one who rules this world, its household well. He's not a drinker. He's not a man who treats his family badly or disrespects his woman or disrespects anyone. And if he can't rule his house, how should he rule the house of God? Now, if you see anything different than that, whose intention is it for our women to be ruling our churches? I'm going to leave it there.
I will say to you, rule is, again, another word that we need to define. It's how we define it, right? But I will agree with you, we'll leave it there. Did you
define the idea that God placed the man as the head of the house?
I'm going to accede to your comment, the statement that we're going to leave it there, because we have one more video to view.
Let's go to the next video, quickly. Let's do it. Thank you.
All right, here's that check for you, sir. Sir?
I wish all men were feminists like you.
Me too.
It's so refreshing.
All right, here's that check for you, sir. Sir? First of all, do not assume my pronouns. Second of all, how dare you assume that because I'm a man that I'm going to be paying for this whole dinner? Women are fully capable of paying for themselves.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to split the bill between you two then?
Actually, why don't we do this so we can really drive this point home for you, because you're giving me very misogynistic vibes right now. Leave the entire bill, and she will pay for the entire thing because she is a strong, independent woman who does not need a man to provide for her. As a feminist woman, wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, here's the check, ma'am. I'm sorry. Okay.
Canceled. I cannot believe how toxic that guy was.
Right, so toxic. Oh my god, this is expensive.
Oh, you got it.
Give me a purse, bitch! Give me a purse!
Ned, are you gonna help me?
Absolutely not. As a feminist man, I don't want to imply that you can't defend yourself just because you're a woman.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Alright, this. I'm dating a conservative.
I'm sorry, guys.
Immediate transformation. So she changed to her natural. She became her real self. So what it says is that she really wasn't a feminist. And then you see the transformation to her being authentic.
Yes.
It was merely a facade.
What also happened right here was that men are now using this feminist idea of getting women to pay for the meals and to take care of everything that they do. And because of that, we have women now, mothers, who are grooming their sons a certain way and grooming their daughters a certain way. Because we have to put it on the fact that mothers, when we started out, we showed you how much the feminism movement, the enemy, has been targeting the women. And they're not just targeting the women, they target the women because you want to get to the children. All of this is our children. So we're not talking about our women anymore. Let me leave our women alone. Our children is at stake. And what do we teach them is what I want to get out of this message.
Absolutely. It's important that we get back to the home being the foundation. And that's where, as certainly the Bible would have, teach your children, the ways of the Lord. And don't leave it up to church or
society or
social media in these days to teach your children. But and here's the thing, teaching is not just the words. I will encourage us all as family in faith, make sure that you live the life. Don't just read it to your children because they're smart enough to know that you're just putting it on. Make sure that you live the life so that they can emulate you. Make sure you're an example in your home of what true Christian lifestyle really looks like so that they can see it and not just hang on what is read, because it is living the word that makes the difference.
Elise, final words, and let's get out of here.
We shared so much information today, and certainly we recognize the narrative. It's almost as if it's being played, and as you said, we are pawns unless we wake up and certainly connect to what is true and what is right, then we will just get caught up in the scenario. And certainly you reminded us that the church too, we have to put the oxygen mask, have to look at ourselves too in the mirror and see where we have gone against or where we have just followed along with societal norms. And certainly we have been called to be bearers of the word of God and of truth. And of course, the family, the very foundation is being shaken. Now, there's a lot to share before we get out. I'm not sure which order I'm going to share.
Share first. You share what you shared first, and I go to the news.
Okay.
So let me go. Let me find out my last little bit here. I want to say that it is important that we find the narrative as the Church of God. Not as church people, but as the Church of God. We understand that the enemies put a wedge between us. When civil rights started, men and women were fighting for the same thing. When feminism came, they divided the family, women against men, and then conquered the entire thing. We are saying God's people must become smarter. Look at it. Lose that. Bring back the biblical principles and take care of this. All right. Elise, over to you.
Yes. So first, I want to share, well said, Mikey G. I want to share that the ASI Cayman will be a part of the PER for Business, which is going to take place on Zoom with a special guest speaker, evangelist Fitz Henry, and that will be the 8th of April at 5 a.m., the perfect time to start with a connection with God. And so the Zoom information is shared here, and we will share it again on programs after this one. Of course, the open portal is this afternoon at 6:30 on YouTube. You cannot afford to miss this one. The theme is Portraits of Faith, and of course we look at Abraham. And certainly your weekend, we won't leave you hungry at all.
I mean, the breakfast hour is moving to weekends, right? With tangible breakfast in this regard.
Yes, so our fish fry comes up. We are at 269 West Bay Road. We'll have fish and bami and juice and potato salad and all that's good for your sustenance. And so if you want to find out more, of course, come on down. We'll be here from as early as 9 o'clock, right here, 269 West Bay Road.
All right. Of course, remember, karaoke is not coming on. People, For our karaoke, I want to do a disclaimer this evening for this morning. Please be reminded that our karaoke will not be tomorrow night, and we have opted to postpone the karaoke for not this week but next week. And so please, we are of course in foresight see some we are not going to be able to do it as effective as we'd like to. So we want to just forego the karaoke for tomorrow night and go into it for next week. Promise you, you will have a treat and a half. Non-stop energy, music, people singing online and offline. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can
You mean on key and off key, Michael G?
And off. Doesn't matter.
Why are you looking at me when you said the off key?
Bring your
I
own
did not
key.
look at you, Curly Current, when I said off.
Bring your own key. But on that note, it's time for us to get out of studio. We know we have been having such a wonderful time. It's Family Fabulous Friday, and of course we touched on some touchy topics, and you can certainly take a moment and just have a listen. Maybe you just can play the video again, get yourself a nice warm beverage, and just go into the word, just listen to the points being shared, and choose and actually evaluate the narrative. See what's happening in your world, see what's happening in your own family, and how you would have played your role, because each of us are members of a family.
And I like when you say each, because each one reach one, and so it is us taking responsibility to change the narrative.
Yes.
It begins with me.
And so I want to say to our listeners and guests this morning, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the breakfast hour. I hope this one did not disturb you too much, but I hope that it did. So you could think about it enough to go and search the scriptures for yourself. I gave you some text. You can go and do additional research on that. I want to say that we need to look at God's order for the family. Teach our men to be men and our women to be women. Stop cross-dressing our women and men and letting our men feel as if they are not who they are, teaching them the wrong stuff. If you want to have leaders for spiritual matters, your priests in your homes, teach the priests, not teach the men to be priests and stop teaching our women to be priests. That's not how it works. That's not God's plan, that's Satan's plan. That's all I'm going to say on that. Teach the men how to be leaders, and teach our women how to be Proverbs 31 woman who's the strength of God's purity for the family. Alright? That's what I'm going to do with that.
All right. So on that note, I just want to remind our listeners, reflect on your blessings and look forward to some well-deserved rest this weekend. As we wrap up the week, it's a perfect moment to appreciate the journey and look forward to the joys and blessings of the weekends. Have yourself a wonderful Friday, and you'll be seeing more of us, of course, Open Portal. We are live on our web radio, www.flashpointmedia.ky. It's not about us, it's about the ministry and the message that we share. And I love the community spirit. Let us know what's happening where you are. And if you would like to join our programs one of these mornings, we will love to facilitate you. And that's it for now.
As you said, Lady Elise, thank you.
New time.
Yes. All right, so we are having what you call the scheduled programs, and we're going to put it in the chat for those persons who are willing to look at the topics and want to be a part of those topics. Those things are coming up later on, so be advised. We'll be putting them out so you can join the conversation and be with us on them. Ask the question live. Come on and have the discussion. Tackle with Lady Elise and Curly Current. Battle with Thank you guys. Of course, remember, it's all Gospel Friday right here on Flashpoint. News comes up next. And of course, remember, this segment is brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands. It's breakfast hour. See you next week, same time, same place. We'll do it all over again for you. Lady Curly Current and Lady Elise want to thank you this week for being our news anchor, Lady Curly Current, and of course, Lady Elise for being the host and hostess. Both of them of breakfast, right? Joining me, I'm here.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Good morning. It is Friday, April 4th, and these are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. I'm Corley Karen. New documentary sheds light on shark monitoring in Cayman. A powerful new documentary titled Tagged and Tracked premiered this week at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands, launching Cayman Shark Week. Directed by James Dartnell, the film highlights the incredible work of the Department of Environmental's Shark Research Team, led by Joanna Coyle. Viewers watched in awe as the team tagged white-tip, black-tip, and Caribbean reef sharks, inserting satellite devices to collect vital data without ever needing to recapture the animals. The documentary offers a rare, behind-the-scenes look into the precise and humane tagging process, ending each successful mission with high fives and cheers aboard the boat. Privy Council weighs in on Cayman's permanent residency points system. A major legal battle continues as the UK Privy Council deliberates whether Cayman Islands' permanent residency point system violates human rights. The case involves a mother of a Caymanian child who was denied residency for failing to reach the required 110 points. The Court of Appeal previously ruled that the current system is incompatible with the Bill of Rights as it doesn't provide room for human rights considerations. Law firm HSM is challenging the framework while the government defends it, saying Cabinet has alternative routes to consider residency on human rights grounds. A ruling is expected in the coming weeks, which could prompt insignificant immigration reform or leave things as they are. St. Lucia's former PM supports Cayman cruise berth, but warns of pitfalls. St. Lucia's ex-Prime Minister Alan Chastanet has weighed in on Cayman's cruise port debate, backing the idea of a cruise berth while warning against the kind of, quote, disastrous deal, end quote, made in his home country. Speaking at an ACT campaign meeting in South Sound, Chastanet praised Cayman's strong governance and transparency, saying the island's cruise decision is a no-brainer given its premium brand. He emphasized that unlike St. Lucia, Cayman is in a better position to negotiate responsibly. Missing 8-year-old boy found safe. A collective sigh of relief across Cayman last night as police confirmed that 8-year-old Elijah Dawes, who was missing since yesterday afternoon, was found and is, quote, in good health. Elijah went missing from his Newlands home just after 3:30 p.m. The RCIPS, supported by a police helicopter and community volunteers, mounted a widespread search. Authorities have thanked the public for their swift response and concern. Body discovered in burning vehicle in Bodden Town. Tragic news from Bodden Town, where a body was found inside a burning vehicle in Lookout Gardens yesterday afternoon. Police responded to the fire at 2:10 p.m. and discovered the lifeless individual inside. The identity of the victim has not been confirmed, and a full investigation is underway, and authorities are urging anyone with information to contact the RCPS Major Incident Group at 649-2930 or leave anonymous tips via Cayman Crime Stoppers. In regional news, OECS endorses bold new sustainable tourism policy for 2025 to 2035. Tourism ministers from across the OECS region have unanimously endorsed a groundbreaking 10-year tourism policy aimed at transforming the region's economy. The policy, approved at the 8th OECS Council of Ministers meeting in St. Vincent, sets out a path for economic growth, environmental protection, and social inclusion. OECS Director General Dr. Didakos Julius highlighted the pressures facing the tourism sector, including climate change and mega cruise ships, a call for bold leadership to balance growth and sustainability. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Please continue to stay tuned for more updates throughout the day.
Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun, with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd, just you and me together. We'll all sing better outside, just us in the sky. Is it innate Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air. Look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together. We'll all sing better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever. I'll be yours forever.
Two things I do know right now. One, you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Number two, you ain't gonna keep it to yourself. Flashpoint Radio. Internet comes alive. Inspiration? In a class by itself.